Think of dueling as a house. Every house has a foundation, and in Chivalry 2, that foundation is accels, also called accelerations. Now, what accels are very fast strikes. They are great as a neutral, or as a counter, or a riposted attack. Best way to do an accel is to look directly into the guy you're fighting, and also looking down as you do it, because looking down in this game makes your animations more confusing and easier to mask. So, if you're doing a right slash, you want to turn left inwards to the enemy. If you're doing a left slash, turn right and look to the right whilst you do it. It's pretty simple, and it makes way for throwing in drags and spins, so you want to pressure the guy with loads of accels before throwing in your drags and spins. Because if you just drag or spin, they're going to wait for it, whereas if you condition them with loads of accels, they're not really going to expect that drag or that spin. So step one to winning these, condition them and bait them with accels, then throw in your drags. So in this fight with H2O, keep pressuring him with the accels to keep him countering fast. Because I'm acceling, he may think I'm going to do a feint or a drag, but nope, they're just accels. After baiting him and reeling him in with the accels like a fish, I throw in a drag to hit him, because he was expecting another accel. As you can see there, he hit me, and that was because he was pressuring me with accels. I did not expect that drag. So remember, pressure them with accels and then throw in the drags. So remember, accels are your core foundation, right? Well, you have different types of drags, like foot drags, heavy drags, overhead drags, and very long drags. Okay, so here I'm going to show you how to do a stab drag. So, when you're doing a stab drag, look away from the enemy. So you either want to look to the right or to the left when doing a heavy stab drag, and then you want to use your footwork to move into the enemy after release. So, again, do a heavy stab, look away from the guy, and right as it's about to land, turn into the guy with your footwork using the WASD keys, and then try and move the mouse at the split second before it hits to go onto the guy. Stab drags don't work as light attacks, they only work as heavies, and in my opinion, the best way to do a stab drag is from a feint. A neutral stab drag is great, but a feinted stab drag is the best choice. And now we'll move on to foot drags. This is probably the second best drag you can do in the game, apart from stab drags. The way you do a foot drag is you want to look up and then turn to the right or to the left using your mouse, so that the tip of your weapon will hit their foot at the last second. You have normal overhead drags where you just look all the way up, they're kind of predictable, but a foot drag will hit at the last second. It's the latest kind of overhead drag you can do, which is why they're the best. Don't try and use them against gamblers, because they will just gamble you. They're also great to do as neutral counters, but I think feinted counters for foot drags are really good. Keep in mind that foot drags are actually very hard to do. You will miss a lot when you try and do them, as you saw there. So it's best practice not to kind of over drag. Try and make a slight movement to aim instead of a wild, wide movement. So here I'm doing light drags, which are basically mini drags. They're not heavy drags, they are light drags. And light drags are great against fighting longsword users, because longsword users counter a lot, and the best way to fight them is to accel and light drag, because longsword users will usually gamble your heavy. They know what the sound of a heavy sounds like. So best practice, get used to light drags. Light drags are also great against anyone really, but mainly against longsword users, as they will always counter early, and they will not really expect that in my drag. And here I'm going to be doing micro foot drags. I think micro foot drags are the best type of light drag you can do, because they are similar to heavy foot drags. They hit your foot and they hit really late. Micro foot drags are great. They're also very hard to land, just like normal foot drags. As you can see here, the micro foot drag is similar. In practice, you want to do micro drags along with accels. They will be the foundation of your fighting. then remember, heavy drags, spins will be an afterthought. They will be your secondary attack. And here I'm doing heavy slash drags. Now heavy slash drags are the easiest form of drag to do. They're also kind of the easiest to counter on the receiving end, so I would say they're kind of the weakest kind of drag you can do, but they have their place. Well landed heavy slash drag will do great damage to the guy. And remember, like I said earlier, I need to reiterate it over and over again. Axels are your main form of attack. Drags are the secondary form of attack. Best drag, stab drag, followed by overhead, toe drag, and then a slash drag. Now, this is definitely what you've been waiting for. Don't you dare lie to me. Spins, 360s, this is the bane of many people's existence in this game. Because spins, believe it or not, are actually really powerful. There's two different ways of doing spins. You can either do a single spin where you do a heavy slash and then it's 360 to hit them. And then you have a fainted spin where you do slash to slash and then you turn into the guy at 360 from there on. To do a spin, you want to start with the heavy slash, looking into the guy like an axle, and then as it releases, turn even more into the guy so that they're off screen, and then rotate in the direction that you're spinning to land it on them. Do you see now why I'm saying that axles are the foundation? Because if you keep axling, they're going to counter early, and the spin is the best, fakest axle you can do. After you condition them with axles a lot, throwing drags, once they get used to your drags, throw in a spin, because they will assume that the spin is going to be an axle because it looks like an axle, and then boom, you spin in a 360 degrees motion and you hit them with the drag. Jump dodges are a great way to deal with foot drags, because the guy will miss the air drag when you jump, and you will hit them with your overhead. They can't block from your attack because they missed whilst you're flying in the air like a bird. Jump dodges are hard because they're easy to fuck up by accidentally dodging. So the best way to do a jump dodge is to stand still, counter the overhead, and then jump and move to the right or the left, depending on the angle of the overhead. If it's a left overhead, then jump and turn to the right. If it's a left overhead, then jump and turn to the left. So remember, to do a jump dodge, you want to be standing still, don't move before you jump. Stand still, jump, counter, then turn to the left or to the right, depending on what angle they're swinging. The reason you counter whilst jump dodging is because they might drag their overhead into you because they might be accustomed to people jump dodging them. So if you counter whilst jump dodging, you have extra protection because if their overhead does land on you, then you've countered it. So remember, as you're seeing here, they're very hard to do, and that's because I'm moving whilst I'm trying to jump dodge. So remember, get this ingrained in your head and it becomes muscle memory. Stand still, jump, counter, then turn. The best way to get used to jump dodges is to practice doing it with your friend. So once you master jump dodges, it will become natural instinct. You will be able to jump dodge any overhead drag you see. But when you start doing them, you're going to fuck up a lot. You're going to dodge accidentally. So remember, practice with your friend, do it a lot, and it will become second nature to you. I also forgot to mention, jump dodges work against all two-handed weapons. I'm not sure about one-handed weapons. Just try and do them against all two-handed weapons. Don't do them against one-handed weapons. And now we're going to do a duel where I showcase all of the moves that I've taught you in a single fight, just to show you how to intertwine them and combine them to have a good fight. So as you can see here, loads of axles, and then we're going to throw in some sneaky spins because he thinks they're axles. Then drag, which he counters, followed by another drag. Stab drag. Like I said, it's the best drag in the game. He didn't expect that. Another fight, start with a neutral spin. That was a feint. Then we go back to the axles, because remember, they are your foundation of the house. Toe drag, which misses. Remember, like I said, don't toe drag against gamblers. Look at the fight go on. Another spin, followed by a secondary spin. And then a light toe drag to finish him off. And this is the second to last thing I'm going to show off. jabs, which are absolutely cancerous in the game. Little did you know that jabs are probably one of the most powerful things you can do to stop a counter fight. If you're fighting a very good duelist and you are countering everything, you want to throw in jabs to throw them off. The best way to do a jab is from a counter. So counter, then throw in a jab. You also want to get used to jabbing them when they're about to attack. So if you hear a heavy attack and they're right next to you, just slap them in the face, man. It's going to knock them off, and then you're going to be followed up with a punish. And here's another thing. It's not shown in the video, but if you jab someone's jab, or if you block a jab, you are rewarded with the initiative. So if you jab someone's jab, follow up with an Axel straight away and you'll hit them. Do not do this with one-handed weapons though, because they are faster. The last thing I'm going to show off is kicks. So basically kicks are risk versus reward. If you kick someone and they're blocking, you're rewarded with a free hit because they're stunned. The best way to do a kick against any player, this includes noobs and top tier players, is to kick from a slash or an open. So swing, then kick. If you're in a counter battle, what you can do is you can riposte, and then as soon as you riposte, kick, and it will throw the guy off, and they will expect it to be a normal attack. But little did they know, they've just been kicked. And now they are on the floor, dead. Enough with the tutorials, let's get into some action. This is a real duel of H2O. As you can see, I'm using everything I've taught you, from drags to jabs, to axels to spins. As you can see here, I'm jabbing him to throw him off, countering his overhead. Then I try and drag him, which fails, followed by a spin, because he thought that was going to be an axel. Well, guess what? It was a spin, and now he's dead. Another fight, watch what I do here, a micro foot drag that hits him. And the best part of the fight, we get interrupted by some cunt who's FFAing. That's why we need to exile all of the Game Pass noobs and set them on fire and throw them down a bridge. Yeah, like and subscribe to the video. I hope you enjoyed. Use these tips I've taught you. They're very, very good. Remember, against noobs, all that special shit I've shown you, like the spins and those crazy drags, they won't really work against noobs. The best way to kill noobs is just kick them and heavy them. I don't really know, man. Some noobs are scary and they just gamble everything, but point is, this video will work against 90% of the players and will definitely help you in fighting those sweaty duelists. So remember, hope you enjoyed, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video, and on the duel done. And one more thing, I forgot to say this, I should have said this earlier, dodging. Best way to use a dodge, if you miss an attack and they're going to swing, dodge and then you can block. And also, stab drags are kind of hit and miss. They will work 80% of the time, but sometimes if you do a stab drag, it's going to miss and you're going to die. So be careful with stab drags.